Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. Big episode. We're talking the top 10 players for fantasy football 2020. Yes, big list for you. I'm not really a list guy because I don't do consensus stuff, but I got a list of the top 10 players that you should be drafting in the order you should be drafting them for fantasy football 2020. Big episode. Let's get to it.
Hey, it's Josh Jacobs, and you're listening to the Fantasy Football Counselor.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. We are talking about the top 10 players for fantasy football 2020, the non-consensus list, the non-consheepsis list, I should say. And I'm going to dive in here with you guys and go through what the current consheepsis top 10 list is, last year's top finishers that technically finished top 10, and who I think should be in the top 10 amongst every player overall, top 10 overall for fantasy football 2020. Get a deep dive in here with you, give you guys some facts, some statistics, and get you guys level-headed for your drafts. Because right now, guys, it's fantasy football draft season. It's here. We should be excited. It's like Christmas morning. We are entering draft season. It is upon us, and I'm beyond excited. And as an adult, you don't really get Christmas. You don't get that Christmas excitement anymore. Like Santa's still real, but you don't get that excitement like you used to as a kid. Now, I have children of my own now. Hopefully you guys do as well, most of you. And, you try to live through them, but Christmas ain't the same anymore. So fantasy is the closest thing that I personally have, and hopefully you guys as adults have, that you can enjoy draft day, very, very enjoyable day. And of course, fantasy every week as you watch your players thrive and dominate every single week if you draft the right team. All right, so let's go through this top 10 list. Before I do, guys, make sure you guys leave a comment. I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can below. I want to keep this brand as personal as possible. I've been the most personal brand for fantasy football, the largest influencer on social, yet I still want to remain I don't know how to say this, but humble, right? I want to remain real to you guys. So leave your comments below. I'll try to get back to as many as I can. Also, you can text me. I'm going to leave a text number somewhere here on the screen and right here, and literally just text me. You get one free message and I'll reply to you. And I encourage you guys to stay on the text package because I can get you guys, as long as you stay on the texting, I'll get you guys inside information for free. But I'm also offering Fantasy Direct at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com under programs, then Fantasy Direct or Direct Access. And I will text you at waiver wires, sleepers, breakouts. Everything is there for you via text. No one else is offering this. This is replacing essentially my Elite Talent Mastermind that I had. For years I was running that. Now I'm going to be offering you everything, a la carte, delivery, whatever you want to call it, right to you via text. It's amazing. Fantasy Direct. I'll also link it below. And finally, get the 16-round draft solution, the first ever and only video training. Get it, guys. You will dominate your leagues, I assure you, because you're going to have an optimal roster, sleepers, breakout, everything at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com under programs, and of course, link below. All right, let's talk about the top 10 list. And this is non-consensus, guys. This is completely non-consensus. So typically consensus lists are really crappy because those guys that finished on top last year won't finish on top this year. And I hate doing lists. That's why I do the 16-round draft solution, because I literally give you all the optimal players that I like in each round based on ADP that you can get. So for example, I like David Johnson a lot this year, so I'm recommending him in round 3 pretty much, right? If you get him in the 3rd round, that's great value. I recommend him there. And I recommend him with my other guys that I like in the 3rd round. And who are the guys that are best to draft in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round? And a lot of people don't know certain players. Like a casual fantasy guy will have struggles after round 5 or 6 or 7 because they know the big names after that. Like, what do you do? How do you draft? Where's the optimal player? All of that is in there, right? So when I do these consensus lists, it's really off the ADP a little bit, but they're players that I kind of would like in that order, essentially, okay? So stick with me here. All right, guys, before we look at our top 10, the one that I've come up with here, the non-consheepsis list, let's recap last year's top 10 finishers. Here they are. Now, understand there's a lot of quarterbacks that got integrated in the top 10. Now, you don't want to draft a quarterback in the top 10. I mean, you can wait. In a 12-person league, if you're drafting, you could technically wait. I see Lamar Jackson coming off round 2 typically, Pat Mahomes round 3, Russell Wilson, Dax, Kyler's all round 5 typical, right? In a 12-person PPR league. But listen, in top 10, sometimes these quarterbacks finish in the top 10 in regards to points. So let's look at last year's top 10 finishers in PPR. Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, Michael Thomas, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Jones, Zeke Elliott, Austin Eckler, and Jameis Winston. So you see a lot of quarterbacks slide in. Now, Jameis Winston is very volatile. I wouldn't draft him early at all, even if he was starting this year, because he threw a lot of interceptions. And I don't trust that, okay? I don't trust, sometimes these guys get a lot of points, but they throw a lot of picks and they cost you certain games. So my secret is when I created my top 10 is I want workhorse running backs early. So when I design my top 10 list, I don't really integrate a lot of wide receivers because I know there's a lot of depth at wide receivers. Now, I'm in this fishbowl thing this year. There's a current draft going on right now. I went robust RB. I don't care if it's a 2-quarterback super flex. I like to load up on this position. Now, even in this fishbowl that I'm in, the quarterback, it's a super flex. So you start one quarterback and you have 4 flexes. One of them could be a super flex with a quarterback. But listen, everything is pretty much leveled out because that quarterback is minus 4 points if they get interception. So they're going to be penalized either way. So you got to get an efficient quarterback in this league. Bottom line is this. When I'm doing my top 10 list, I still want those workhorse running backs. Now let's take a look. We looked at last year's top finishers, top 10. A lot of quarterbacks integrated. You can wait on quarterbacks so you don't have to accommodate the quarterbacks in the top 10 list. You can wait. But when you're looking at this year's top 10 list, based on the consensus, CMC, Saquon, Michael Thomas, Zeke Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Adams, Henry, Mixon, and Julio. Dalvin Cook is out. I mean, the guy has not finished the season for 3 years, had a pinnacle year, threatening holdout. No business being in the top 10 right now. Mixon's not a guy I trust. Mixon's not a guy that has a high ceiling. I understand he's on an offense that's made some improvements, O-line, this and that, but Mixon, you just can't trust him. When I pull up his numbers, I'm going to pull him up right now and look at him. His pinnacle year, guys, was 243 fantasy points. That was back in 2018, okay? 243 fantasy points. He peaked at 1,168 yards and 8 touchdowns. The most touchdowns Mixon has had in a season is 8. That's it. He's only finished one season, and that's in 2019. So I don't like Mixon in the top 10 at all. Give me David Johnson in the top 10. Give me Todd Gurley ahead of this guy. Don't trust him. Julio, top 10. I think he's going to be a great receiver. Michael Thomas will have a bit of a decline this year. I'll explain that, okay? So that's the consensus top 10. Let's go to my top 10. Number 1, it's Saquon Barkley. I'll tell you why Saquon Barkley, getting onto my list, is why he's number 1. So Saquon Barkley clearly has the highest ceiling. There's no doubt about it. Physically, the most talented and gifted running back in the game. Dynamic playmaker, runs, catches, speed, explosiveness. He is the complete package. Now, he was running behind a pretty bad O-line last year, and the thing about it is he still rushed over 1,000 yards, 1,003 yards, only playing 13 games, a little hurt, and then 4.6 yards per carry and 6 touchdowns. Still finished top 10 in PPR, only playing 13 games behind a bad O-line and a young Daniel Jones getting into the groove. The ceiling is high. If I'm looking first overall, I'm looking at Saquon Barkley this year, and everyone's saying CMC. I understand CMC. You can get CMC and trade him, work out a good trade and get, because you get a lot of leverage if you got him, but I'm still going Saquon Barkley and securing him. There isn't too much of a difference when you're looking at value for these guys this year. Coming in number 2, guys, Christian McCaffrey. Now, listen, I'm staying away from him, but I may draft him second overall because I may trade him. I may want to get Derrick Henry packaged with a better wide receiver or something like that. I don't trust Christian McCaffrey. I'll tell you why. Because the decline is there. Now, I shouldn't say I don't trust him. I think he's going to decline this year. I mean, he had a pinnacle year last year. He's not going to finish on top again. There's no way he's going to finish. A running back does not finish on top 2 years in a row. Just very rare it happens. Last time it happened was 2000, 2003 with Priest Holmes. You guys know the story. Christian McCaffrey, pinnacle year. Everything was pitch perfect. I mean, 116 receptions on 141 targets. Guess what? Quarterback change. Bridgewater is there. Okay? They've got Robbie Anderson this year. They're going to want to throw the ball more. They got a new coach. He peaked at 471 points. Now you're saying, well, Joe, he had 471 points. If he has 450, I'll be happy. How big is the decline? Listen, it's significant enough to push him out of first overall. That's all I got to say. I like Saquon a little bit better. I like Henry a little bit better. And even in PPR, I know that sounds crazy. Henry's a monster. He's going to get over 1,500 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns on the ground. So he's going to make that up. CMC is going to see a decline. He's been paid. That's another big reason why I'm staying away from CMC. He's been paid. It's a full stomach. Do you want to eat when you're full? I don't. So again, that's another reason why I don't trust Christian McCaffrey this year as the first overall. Okay, I don't want to say completely don't trust him, but as first overall. All right, number 3 here, Derrick Henry. I mean, he's a workhorse running back. And I see, again, the consensus, compared to the consensus, they've got Michael Thomas at 3. Why would you get a wide receiver who had a pinnacle year as well as a third guy? Give me Derrick Henry. I mean, why not get and secure that full workhorse running back? Derrick Henry's elite talent. He's solid. He's consistent. He led in attempts. That's one thing I look at when I look at a running back. Led in rushing yards and attempts. 303 rushing attempts. 1,540 yards. Now, I understand the coaching is saying they're going to bring the rookie Darrington Evans playing more and all that stuff. I'm not sold on it. I think Derrick Henry's still the guy. I don't know if he's going to sign and lock up to a big mega contract. I know he signed the year tender for about $10.2 million. Listen, this guy needs to get paid. He needs to get incentivized. He's still hungry. You know, I think the stomach is still there. It needs to be filled. I love him. I got him at number 3. Number 4 is Zeke Elliott. Now, again, this is if I'm seeing the draft come along and I want to pick a guy, that's who I would pick, okay? I got to go here with Zeke Elliott. I got to go with him because, again, another guy that gets a ton of volume, 301 attempts. I understand Pollard is there, but they've got some great receivers, including CeeDee Lamb, who was drafted by the Cowboys. They've got some good receivers that are going to, take away that pressure off the stacked boxes. Dak is hungry, hasn't got paid. By the way, Pat Mahomes, congratulations, man. This guy can get over $500 million, breaking some records here over 10 years. Phenomenal Pat Mahomes. But when you're looking at Dak, he's still hungry, right? We're talking about that stomach again. He's hungry, and I think he's going to feed all the entire offense is going to eat. Zeke Elliott is going to be the guy that's going to get all the work. Now, Pollard's going to probably come in here for some passing plays, stuff like that. But I think Zeke's still going to be a workhorse. Got him at 4. Number 5, Josh Jacobs. Now, their number 5 is Alvin Kamara. Listen, Josh Jacobs is just set for more of a workload. There is no Latavius Murray there, right? He is a full and true workhorse running back. Young, dynamic, like him. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs here, okay? Coming at number 5. And again, last year, he only played, 13 games, 242 attempts. That goes up. He had 4.8 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns, and over 1,150 yards. Not bad considering he was a rookie, getting into the groove. They had no receivers, right? So some stacked boxes were there. They brought in Ruggs. They're going to throw the ball a little bit more, hopefully open things up for Josh Jacobs. I like him. Number 5. I mean, between him and Kamara, give me Jacobs. Jacobs is just going to be set for more of a workload, but Kamara is going to be solid as well because he's got a hungry stomach as well, okay? Coming at number 6, I got Alvin Kamara there. The consensus have Dalvin Cook. I'm not drafting Dalvin Cook. I explained why. Years to wow me. I'm not wowed. He wowed us a little bit last year for a little bit, but Madison, trust me, look out, okay? Number 7 here, Todd Gurley. Got to go with Todd Gurley here at number 7. And their number 7 is Adams. But listen, Todd Gurley is a full workhorse running back with no committee. The arthritis is not going to concern me at all. He passed the physical. He's good to go. Absolutely love Todd Gurley this season. High-octane offense. He's going to catch the ball a lot as well. And don't think he's going to see any stacked boxes because with Hurst there, Ridley, and Julio, who's going to want to stack the boxes when they got to defend these amazing receivers? Todd Gurley's elite talent. Last year finished 14th amongst running backs. Managed to get 12 touchdowns on the ground, 223 attempts, and he was preserved. He wasn't utilized, which is great because this year is the year he could really explode and take off. And I'm glad the Rams preserved him because he's ready to go for this year. And I believe the Falcons want to win a Super Bowl. Trust me, it's a tough division this year. I think the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl this year. But believe me, the Falcons will make a run, and they're going to be a contender this year. Todd Gurley, number 7. Number 8 here, I'm going with Davante Adams because, again, based on a wide receiver, if I'm waiting this long, based on ADP, I can get Davante Adams in and around here. Why not grab him? All those running back workhorses are gone. Adams here, I think, is going to be a top receiver this year. Like him a lot. Ceiling is high if he stays healthy. Love him, okay? Number 9 here, Michael Thomas. Listen, I mean, why not get him here? You could trade him, work a deal out. You're going to get an ace wide receiver based on ADP. I mean, why not? That's the way I kind of look at it here. You can get Michael Thomas. Absolutely love him, and you're going to get him at the end of the first round, but he will decline from last year. A pinnacle 149 receptions, very, very unheard of for a receiver to get that consistently year in, year out on 185 targets. I mean, that's a lot of targets. I mean, going back to 2017-ish, Antonio Brown was the number one receiver, and he had 163 targets. Going back to 2018, let's keep reverse engineering here. Hopkins was the number one receiver in 2018, and he had 163 targets. So again, very, very hard to get the amazing high target count of 185 for Michael Thomas. And it could happen, but I really doubt it, okay? But he's coming in at my number 9, and the consensus have Mixon at number 9, which I don't trust. Their number 10 is Julio, understandably so. My number 10 is David Johnson. I would get him early second round. It depends on how it falls, right? But David Johnson is a full, true workhorse running back. I absolutely love him this year. He's going to have a phenomenal year. He is the man, and you guys know I love him. And again, who else could you get? You could get Eckler, but I think David Johnson finishes ahead of him. You can get Nick Chubb. David Johnson finishes ahead of him, right? Because there's other guys creeping just outside the top 10, guys I don't trust. And if you think Dalvin Cook is top 5 and you don't think David Johnson should be in top 10, you don't know fantasy, because this guy just had a series of bad events that happened. The wrist fluke injury the year after his pinnacle year, uncontrollable. It's not that he's injury prone. The year after finished top 9 amongst running backs. Okay, guys, remember, guys, he still finished back in 2018, still had a good season. Everyone's thinking, oh, well, David Johnson sucks. In 2018, he actually had 246 fantasy points, finished top 9 in PPR amongst running backs. I mean, that's 2018, and in 2019, he got screwed by the coach. Now he's set. He's primed for a big year. Love him in Houston, and there's only a handful of running backs you can get. Unfortunately, in the fishbowl, I didn't get him. Someone sniped him in the 4th round, because I literally went Saquon Barkley because I had the second pick, came back around, went Jacobs, and then went Gurley. I was so close to go Gurley and Johnson. It was hard to pass up on Jacobs. It really was. And trust me, David Johnson could outperform Josh Jacobs this year easily. And that's something I was torn on. I thought that David would fall coming back. That's why I had to take Jacobs there. But David Johnson got sniped, and I'm very, very upset. I would have went 4 running backs there, but I ended up getting Kenny Golladay actually at the 4th pick, I believe. Then I went Tannehill because I needed a quarterback, and they were running low, and I needed a quarterback. And I'm okay with Tannehill, man. Trust me. Believe me, I am. I've got my 3 workhorse running backs, and I got Golladay. So the draft is going well there. Now, again, very upset I didn't get David Johnson in that particular league, but I absolutely love him for this year. And I was, you know me, guys. I mean, my name is attached to this guy. He endorsed the brand a couple years ago. I've been promoting him for years. You have your ups and downs. I couldn't control what the coach did last year. Out of my control. It is what it is, okay? But he's going to have a big year. So there it is, guys. Saquon, again, non-consensus, guys. And if David Johnson can fall to the 3rd or 4th, get him there. I'm not saying go draft him top 10. What I'm saying is this is the order that I like, when it comes to top 10 rankings. I'd rather have David Johnson there than Mixon, which is crazy that Mixon's even in the top 10 right now. But Saquon, we went CMC, Derrick Henry, Zeke Elliott, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley, Devontae Adams, Michael Thomas, and David Johnson. That's more of a realistic top 10 of guys you'd actually want to draft pretty early on over the, Mixon and Cook. Like, come on, man. What's Mixon and Cook doing there? It's crazy. And Michael Thomas at 3, really? I'd rather have Derrick Henry. It's crazy the way it's laid out. I don't like it. And, some people say I'm crazy, but you got to think outside the box. Last year, for example, I said Landry's better than Odell. Turned out well, right? Last year, I said Josh Allen will outperform Baker Mayfield. People thought I was crazy. I said stay away from Le'Veon Bell round 1. People thought I was crazy. Right? So you got to, and Antonio Brown, everyone's drafting Antonio Brown round 2. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why would you, he's on a different team. Stay away from Brown. Then you saw what happened. So you got to accommodate and compensate and look at all the variables before you put anybody on your roster, guys. Be extremely selective with who you pick. Okay, guys? That's it, guys. I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm beyond excited about Fantasy Football 2020. Get the 60-round draft solution. Leave your questions below. I'll get back to as many as I possibly can. And there's your top 10 list, top 10 players for Fantasy Football 2020. As of right now, July, I may change my mind a little bit as we get closer to the season, but this is something to go off of and be aware of who to draft and who to avoid. But the full list is in the 16-round draft solution at thefantasyfootballcouncil.com. You're going to get all the details in there, everything you need to dominate Fantasy Football 2020. Thanks for being here, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and I am out.